Right, so we are now recording. Welcome everyone to our weekly call on the 22nd of November. So less than 5 weeks to Christmas. Who knew? Right, the main focus of our discussion today is going to be, or at least we're going to touch on the forthcoming Internet Governance Forum event in Poland, which starts in 2 weeks today. Actually, that's going to come around really quickly. Then we'll move on to pick up a few things which we did cover last week, but because we'd run over time-wise, we, in all fairness, went through a significant pace. So I thought it would be appropriate to just reprise a couple of things to do them justice. And then we're going to talk about some forthcoming diary dates, which are coming up over the next few weeks, just in case any of those have passed people by, to sort of signpost them, as there are a few interesting things coming up. And hopefully we will have a little bit more time this week for anything else that anybody wants to bring up, as we did pretty much time out on our call last week. So I'm going to share my screen firstly. So I'm hoping the slide has reappeared on your screen. Is it at a size which is legible, or do I need to enlarge it on my device?
Good.
Good, yeah. Anyone can't see it too, I'll just put something in the chat. We'll change. Yeah, I've said all of that, so I might as well continue. Okay, so first things first, just by way of a reminder, the Internet Governance Forum starts, well, day zero, so it's a sort of partial day, is on the Monday, the 6th of December, and the event proper runs from the Tuesday through Friday of that week. It's going to be a hybrid event this year. It has been designed to be hybrid, so both in person and online. The in-person component, as I mentioned just now, is in Poland, in Katowice. But the entirety of the conference, I believe, is all going to be available online. I think there's going to be an integrated mic queue and other things to make it a properly hybrid event. And I think all of the workshops that are taking place are also designed to be hybrid, with at least one of the speakers will be remote, to try and make sure it's everyone's on an equal footing for participation. You do need to register, and I've put on the slide, which I'll share afterwards, the URL to register. And also, importantly, if you're planning to attend in person, you also need to register for a badge, which I realized I was going through the site last night. So if you're planning to attend in Poland, make sure that you also register for a badge as well. I'm sure they're better to do them on site, but probably should streamline things if you've done it in advance. And then the agenda, the so-called interactive agenda, is at the URL that's on the screen, so that should be kept pretty much up to date over the next couple of weeks. Okay. So what I'm going to do is to just scroll through, highlight some events which have caught my eye. So there's no more science behind this than that. But I think there will be a few others that probably are involved in workshops through the week. So I'm going to do these going through in day order. So if on any of the days in question I've not mentioned a workshop that you're involved in, do feel free both to highlight it as we're going through it now, but also make sure you drop me a line afterwards with details of the relevant event, and I'll add that to the slides afterwards as well, with a link, etc., so people can sort of see where it is if they're in person, but also what the link is if they plan to attend remotely. Anyway, with that in mind, as I say, and with the science being no more complex, and these are the things that attracted my attention, I thought it was entirely appropriate to mention first that one of the day zero events, sort of lunchtime or thereabouts, and all the times a UTC. So 12 o'clock UTC on Monday the 6th is a session looking at the future of internet governance. So that seemed an entirely appropriate event to maybe start IGF week at. And also on the Monday, the other event which caught my eye sort of later on in the afternoon is the global road or roads to digital sovereignty. And thankfully, by the way, I think pretty much all of these workshop titles are reasonably self-explanatory into the sort of ground they're intending to cover. So I'm not going to click through to any of the individual workshop sessions. That's something you can do at your leisure if you're interested in the events. Okay, so those are the two on Monday. As I say, as I'm walking through these, if anyone's got anything else that they've sort of noted or involved with on any of the days, so starting with Monday, please either sort of put your hand up or put something in the chat, and we'll pick that up as well. So moving through to the Tuesday. I've highlighted a number of sessions there, and I should say, by the way, I should put this on as a health warning. The sharp-eyed of you will realize that some of these sessions are running at the same time or overlap time-wise. So I'm not suggesting that you necessarily try and attend all of these. Obviously, we'll need to be a bit more discriminating in my own sort of intentions on the day, but these are the ones that are on my long list, at least at the moment. So in order, from starting in the morning, there's a lightning talk on rapid notice and takedown, the key to getting child sexual abuse off the internet fast, which I know is a topic of interest to certainly a number of regulators, and I guess probably a bunch of other people as well, social media platforms, etc. And then around lunchtime, there's the actual launch event is just before this. So this is in the plenary room. So there's the official opening ceremony, and then this is, if I recall correctly, the plenary session immediately afterwards, which is investing in digital growth and enabling capacities, transnational and transcontinental synergies. Which if I'm honest, I only really put that on there as that's the main plenary session after the opening ceremony. So I'm not sure that will be top of my list of fun things to do that day, but there you are. Perhaps more usefully, a bit later on in the afternoon, there's 3 o'clock UK time, Fighting Disinformation as a Cybersecurity Challenge is running, as is Internet and Jurisdiction Policy Network session, which certainly the whole issue of what jurisdiction applies to stuff on the internet is definitely a matter of interest to legal scholars, if nobody else. And then at the sort of latter part of the day, there's an open forum on AI and the rule of law in the digital ecosystem. Which is certainly of interest to me, but that's part of my LLM. It's a sort of topic of interest, so it's more my personal agenda. There's a lot of stuff on the Wednesday. So sort of first batch of these, there's an open forum on the future of the internet, which is pretty self-explanatory, which I think the sponsor of that is the UK DCMS team, but I may be misremembering. If Simon or Francois are on, then maybe comment on that. And then there's a discussion a bit later in the morning about what does digital sovereignty actually mean, which I certainly plan to attend that. And there's also a study about the internet's technical success factors, which unfortunately overlaps time-wise. And then the last one on this slide is encryption and human rights towards a total obligation to protect privacy and freedom of expression. So, if you like, the upside of encryption, pretty much, and why that matters, particularly in certain geographies. And continuing on Wednesday, there's a workshop on the multi-stakeholder approaches for the design of AI policies, which I think use of AI will increasingly affect all of us. So that's certainly worth paying attention to, but perhaps equally of interest, and unfortunately at the same time, antitrust regulation of internet platforms in global outlook, which is nothing if not topical. There's then a discussion on encryption choices for a reliable internet, which I think is, I think, Vittorio, that's the workshop that you're now involved in, if I recall.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. Should sure be a very interesting workshop as a result. Also, actually coinciding with that time-wise, imagining the future of international internet governance, which is certainly on topic for the IGF as a whole, and access to the open internet benefits, challenges, and policy approaches. Again, also running at pretty much the same time. So there's a lot of sort of interesting sessions towards the latter part of Wednesday. In IGF, an almost embarrassment of riches. And then I think this is the last slide. On Thursday, ISOC has got an open forum towards the beginning of the morning. And then mid-morning, the state of DNS privacy technologies is running. It's the only workshop through the week which is explicitly themed around DNS, which I've immodestly highlighted as I'll be one of the panelists in that session. So I hope there'll be plenty of people coming along to contribute to the discussion. And then beyond that, you'll see a workshop on internet resilience, and then to sort of, as we sort of finish through the Thursday session.
It's your minute, but my minute. You know what you mean.
Sorry, apologies for that. We've got making the internet more secure and safe, which is always an important topic. So continue the theme of resilience, and also, again, pretty much on topic, securing the trusted internet, which is a session, collaborative session for national regulators, which could be quite insightful to sort of hear firsthand the sort of line of thinking of some of our national regulators. I think that's all I had. I'm just double check that's I've covered it. Yeah. In terms of workshops, there's a lot of workshops at IGF, a lot more than, for example, ITF. So this is only a very small fraction. It does continue into the Friday, but my flight's Friday morning, so I've not looked in so much detail at the agenda for Friday. But so far, those are all of the sessions that I sort of picked out that look particularly interesting. If I sort of pick on Vittorio, because I think there's a couple of sessions that you're also involved in, other than the one that I've already mentioned. Any of those ones that I've not sort of covered so far, and if so, do you want to sort of mention roughly when in the week they are, if you have the timing to hand, that is?
Well, personally, I will still be speaking on another couple of panels. One is on Thursday afternoon, but it's on platform interoperability, which is, I mean, another topic I've been following, but not directly correlated with DNS. And the third one is on Friday, more or less at lunchtime. It's an Article 19 panel on social media.
Right. Okay, I'll make a note of those and add those to the list in that case. And So yeah, well, thank you for those, and apologies, I'll miss you on the Article 19 session on the Friday, because I'm sure that will be interesting. But I will add it to this. And anything else anybody else has got? Mark, were there any you wanted to highlight?
Well, there is a universal acceptance session. I don't know what day it is. Universal acceptance is the idea that all domain names and email addresses should be treated equally in all software sites and services. A lot of this comes down to, the new domain names that are very long or things that contain Unicode in them. But actually, I was going to ask you to scroll back to Tuesday. I wanted to take another look at that. Thanks.
Of course, yeah. And I will look out for that session as well and add that in, Mark. Okay. There are the Tuesday ones so far.
All right, thanks.
I will send these slides out afterwards with the embedded links as well, just to.
Yeah, I know you will. I just wanted to get another look at that. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. You're welcome. Any other sort of workshops of interest that people have already noted, or other observations you think it'd be useful just to sort of highlight now whilst we're talking about IGF? Or indeed anyone else likely to be in person in Poland, subject to any last minute changes of travel plans, etc. Because if you are, it'll be marvellous to arrange an opportunity to perhaps have a chat over a beer or glass of wine or something. Fun though Zoom is. Okay, I'll take it that probably no one else has got anything else to highlight just now. If there is anything that you think about afterwards, just drop me a line. And as I say, I'll add it to the slides before I send them out. So let me just scroll down and then change subject. Okay, so these are a few things which I skated over very quickly at the tail end of our call last week because we'd run out of time. So as I mentioned at the start of the call today, I said I'd come back to these just to spend a few minutes on them. So in the order that they're listed, in terms of some topics for future calls that we have coming up, Peter, who you'll see on your screen as guaranteed.
I have.
That come what may, he is going to treat us to his presentation. It probably has a proper title, but this is my imagined title: the many uses of DNS, including the Star Wars. The Star Trek even. Oh no, it was Star Wars.
Yeah.
It was Star Wars. Opening titles amongst other things. Yeah. That's a pretty tame example, but it just stuck in my mind.
It's one of the several groups. There's different groups of I still haven't come up with a proper title for it, I'll be honest. I think the many uses of DNS is a bit too tame because it doesn't kind of give the implication of this weird stuff that people are doing. But yeah, trace routes is a particular category of weird uses.
So we should make that the requirement of the session to come up with a name for your presentation.
Yeah, it would be helpful, I suppose. But thank you, Andrew. Yes.
So, and that's the Monday, if I've got this right, I hope I have, because it was deliberate if it's right, the Monday after Thanksgiving. So any of our American friends perhaps feeling a little fragile, but feel the need to socialize, that should be a fairly easy way of easing yourself into the working week after a busy weekend socializing. So I'm sure that's going to be a highlight to look forward to. Slightly more sort of heavyweight than that the following week, by way of contrast, is server-side evasion of filtering, which Kevin Bock is going to join us to talk about. This is something which you may recall. I mentioned I sort of saw it was, I think it was in the IRTF open session at IETF 112. Kevin presented a paper on a tool called Geneva, which basically gives sort of server-driven techniques to overcome content filtering. It's intended principally to defeat sort of censorship techniques used by authoritative regimes, but I believe has some potentially quite serious consequences for malware. So I thought it was important to highlight that as a topic, and Kevin's kindly agreed to join us on the 6th. So he'll give an updated version of the talk that he gave at IRTF, the IRTF Open meeting, which if you saw that, they were all pre-recorded. I think they were limited to 10 minutes, so we had a bit more time, plus obviously Q&A afterwards. So I'd urge people to come along to that, particularly if you're involved in any way in content filtering or interested in sort of malware detection and suppressants, etc. The following week, unsurprisingly, we'll maybe sort of talk about some of the highlights of IGF 2021, because that will now have completed by then, so we can sort of look back and signpost you to some of the sessions it might be worth catching the recordings of. And I haven't got dates for these yet, but I am still persevering with to see if we can get sort of Cloudflare, one of the Cloudflare teams, to come on and talk about their recent ECH sort of update, and also Google to come on and talk about DOS support in Android 13. Be good to get dates firmed up for those as soon as possible, but they're definitely still on the radar to try and tie down as soon as we can. But if anyone's got any other topics you'd like to cover on the call, either that you want to cover yourselves or you think should be covered, but please just get me in touch with me directly, and feel free to sort of signpost me towards people that could deliver the content if it's not something that's a specialism of yourself. And then changing attack from that, two other things to highlight, which I think haven't timed out yet. So again, I've mentioned both of these last week, but only very briefly. Firstly, there's a whole slew of open positions within the IETF, which the NomCon team and Chris Box and others are working through a very large number of interviews in order to line up candidates for. I will particularly highlight the LLC board, since I'm one of the 4 nominees for that, but there are a lot of other positions as well for the ISG, for sort of ADs, and I think the trust, amongst others. So if you've got any view on any of the nominees, you can give your feedback using the URL that's on the screen at the moment. And again, I'll include that in the slide. So just click on that. You can give sort of feedback on anyone. The person you give feedback on doesn't get to see it, I should say. It goes to the IETF NomCom team to help inform their decision making. I think they're looking for feedback by the end of this month. So if you do have any strong views, it'd be good to do that sooner rather than later. And similarly, again, I don't think it's too late, but it's pretty much coming up to the wire now. Brett Carr and Moritz Muller both put themselves forward as co-chairs of the RIPE DNS working group. If you have any particular views, want to support either of the 2 nominees, I've put the email address to signal your support to at the bottom of this slide. And if you want to see their 2 sort of rationales for why they've nominated themselves. I've also put a link to that on the penultimate bullet point on the slide. I have seen that on the working group mailing list, most recently, a few people have nominated them both, saying that they should both be found roles within the working group, given that they bring complementary skills. So that might be an approach that you might want to consider if you know both Brett and Moritz. But because working group is meeting later this week, if you have a view on that, I think you'll need to get your email posted like today or tomorrow, certainly very quickly, otherwise it will miss the meeting. Okay, and then the other thing I wanted to sort of just touch on a few things which are coming up, some diary dates to bear in mind. The first is RIPE 83 is running across this week. And in particular, as I've already mentioned, the DNS working group, that meets this Thursday at 3 p.m. UTC. So that's the only DNS specific content that I was able to spot on the agenda. There's obviously a very interesting agenda running through the whole week, but that in particular is worth highlighting. There's no cost to attend RIPE, but you do need to register. So if you want to attend the working group on Thursday, make sure you register in advance. Should be an interesting discussion. And then next week, so these things are coming thick and fast now, DNS OARC 36 takes place. That's a paid for event. I think it's something like $150 to register. The agendas are already published online, but unless I was unlucky when I looked, none of the detail of the meetings, just the meeting titles or the session titles was available when I looked. The one that in particular looked interesting was towards the start of the event was DNS OARC Privacy Committee report. But there is plenty of other content, but I thought that was just worth highlighting in particular. But until the sort of presentations are available, it's hard to gauge much more than that. So you have to use your imagination with what may be included in the sessions. The week after that, of course, we've got IGF, and then on the 14th of December, the one thing that I think most of the people on this call will find of interest is ICANN will be holding a Resolver operator forum. The slide includes a link to register. I think that would definitely be worth attending. You'll see Paul Mokapetris is giving the opening sort of keynote. Then there's a number of confirmed speakers, some of whom we know well. So John, who I think is on the call today, is speaking, as is Jason Livingood from Comcast, and Puneet and Malay as well. Malay, I'm told, might be running the highest capacity resolver. It's supporting something like 8 million queries a second. So I don't know how that compares with other resolvers out there, but it will certainly be towards the top of the table, if not the busiest. Also in that forum, there's going to be a software vendor panel, which Paul Hoffman from ICANN is moderating, but with a variety of people. Well, say 3 people, sort of Vicky, Benno, and Peter Van Dyke from Open Exchange. So that will also be worth listening in on. And then as we get towards the middle of December, just finally, well, also the 14th, but not running through the 15th, there's a Bloomberg Technology Summit, and you find sort of details about the content using the link provided. Again, there's no cost to attend that. You just need to register. Same with the ICANN Resolver Operator Forum, which I'm not sure how widely that's being publicized, but The ICANN team kindly dropped me the details, which I said I would share. Okay, so let me stop. Yeah, queries per second. Yeah, it's a lot of queries per day, Peter, isn't it? That was a figure I was given, by the way. That is the right figure. Well, it's a figure I was given. Whether it's accurate, I don't know. But
691.2 billion queries a day. I was curious to see how we stacked up against them, and we're not quite there yet. So
it's an impressive number.
Yeah. It's difficult when people use the term big data a lot, because comparatively everybody's scale is slightly different. Like our last published figures are 12 billion queries a day, which I thought was a lot.
Well, it's a lot compared to many.
Yeah, exactly.
But clearly these are in a sort of slightly different category. Yeah, it's a good number.
I spoke to someone from Akamai once that mentioned trillions of queries. I can't remember the time frame they were talking about, but
Okay.
So
well, perhaps anyone either on the call now or perhaps listen to the recording, if they have an even more impressive number than 8 million queries, I think it'd be good to know what it is.
Who wins?
Yeah, quite. I mean, it's an unimaginably large number, but and I have no idea how that must be sort of spread over a very large number of servers as well. So the infrastructure will be kind of interesting to see what's behind that. Anyway, that's everything that I wanted to cover, but conscious I'll be talking at people. So is there anything that anyone else wanted to bring up on the call today? So let me stop talking and give a chance for others to come in if you wish. I should say good to see Ian on the call. I haven't seen you on the call for a while, so so welcome back to the call, and others, of course. But, anything on anyone else's mind currently? Or do we need to release Andreas to go fetch his Glühwein and perhaps a side of venison whilst he's at it? Yeah, and I can see Bill's comment about well, maybe 691.2 billion queries per day is not so much. Could be one interpretation of that. Easy to get into the tens of millions of queries per second that way. Interesting definition of easy, but I know what you mean. Okay, I'm not seeing any hands raised at the moment, nor anything other than Bill's comment in the chat. So with that in mind, I guess we're all looking forward, Peter, with bated breath.
Please don't big this up too much. It's going to be terrible now, and I'm good.
Well, with luck, there'll be a number of our American friends who might be feeling a little tired. So this might be quite a helpful way of easing into the working week this time next week.
I do have to say to anybody here at the moment that Andrew's been very patient with me, and I promised this to him a long time ago and still haven't come up with it. Lots of stuff going on, the usual excuses, but yeah, I did commit to. I said absolutely, I will. I promise. No excuses. Going to do it. We put a date on it. So, yeah, next week. Fortunately, most of my colleagues are off for a couple of days this week, so I'm going to have a long time to get it right.
Well, so you really are building it up now, Peter. This is it's going to be fabulous in that case. So no, I'm sure it will be. I think amazing is highly likely to be true. There will be plenty of surprises in there, I'm sure.
Thank you.
And we'll all be thinking at various points as you run through it. But why? I think that would be good.
Yeah.
Yes, just because you can doesn't mean to say you should, but
Definitely shouldn't in a lot of cases.
so yeah, it should be fun. Okay, all right. Well, with that in mind, then let's hold it there. So be fabulous next week. Thanks everyone for your time. As I say, if you've got any IGF stuff that you want to highlight, if you could drop me an email at some point today, that'd be appreciated. And anything I get today, I'll include in the slides before I send them out sometime early tomorrow, UK time. But other than that, have a fabulous week, everyone, and we'll look forward to an entertaining presentation same time next week. So enjoy the week and happy Thanksgiving for those of you in the US in the meantime. Thanks all.
Thanks, Andrew.
Bye, everyone.